love of horses. I didn't like horses originally. I still don't like anybody else's horses. I only like mine. But I walked into the field with about a dozen others, and this 6-month-old foal came to me, and he actually came to me for the rest of his life. It didn't matter how many people went into the field, he would always come to me. And he could be an absolute pain at times, but I always knew that I could trust him. And I trusted him implicitly. No matter what situation I was in, I could trust him. And that was my start of horses, really. And then I started to learn to plough. And ploughing is like a disease. Once you start, it's very difficult to stop. And so it goes on. Then I eventually, at 20 years old, Lovejoy died, and his brother Tinker was left, and I acquired Wilf then to join up with Tinker. And we had 3 years ploughing with Wilf and Tinks after that. Probably 3 of the best years I'd ever had, because they were much steadier than Lovejoy. And he was always a pleasure to plough with. Then Tinker at 25 was retired, and eventually within a couple of years died, and we acquired Juna then to go with us. In the meantime, I'd bred a grey mare that I had, and the foal was Angel. And of course you can't do anything with one horse in a ploughing competition, you've got to have 2, realistically. So we acquired Laddie to go with Angel. So I started off by saying I was going to have no horses. I went to 1 horse, then I went to 2 horses, then I went to 3 horses, and then I went to 4, then I went to 5, and then I went to 6. So it just seems to be a disease, really. The pleasure that you get out of doing a proper ploughing plot at a ploughing match, regardless of whether you win or not, you get an immense amount of pleasure. It's very technical and quite challenging at times, with very tiny adjustments making a huge difference. So that's where I've got my pleasure, and 35 years or close to 40 years later, I'm still involved with the horses. Bryony came along at 15 years ago, just to help for a day. And she's been and stayed with me ever since, and I've taught her to plough, and of course she's now one of the top horse ploughers in the country, which is I'm very proud of, and I still get pleasure out of helping her and still pointing out bits that I remember from a long time ago, that puts her into a situation where she can command that respect. Realistically, there's only Bryony in Cornwall now ploughing, whereas when I started at a ploughing match in Cornwall, there would be sort of a dozen or 15 horse ploughers. So yes, it's dying. There's only about 5, I'll say young people, but people sort of 30, in their 30s, in the whole of this country ploughing. So when people my age and some a bit younger than me finish, it's up to them 5 to carry on. So eventually it's going to die out, which is a shame because it's our heritage. And these guys here apparently are now rarer than giant pandas. So yes, it would be lovely to see people carrying it on.